Pull over, this is the opinion police. We got a report that you like a game that I don't, so you're going to the slammer. I'm talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. To extend this broader, it's not so much about liking the game or not. I'm not here to change your mind if you really enjoy the game. I'm talking about excusing all of the obvious problems and writing them off as not a big deal when there are a lot of unacceptable, objectively broken things about this game. I'm just getting pretty tired of people getting mad at myself and others for pointing out glaring problems with the game and writing it off as being nitpicky and saying that those things aren't real issues to actual genuine Pokemon fans. And I have to wonder, like, what genjutsu you're trapped under, what fucking delusional fantasy you're living in to say that a lot of the things that are being pointed out about how broken the game is aren't a big deal or aren't a detriment to the overall experience. I just feel like this battling for the honor of your favorite franchise and not acknowledging problems is going in the wrong direction for the industry. There's nothing wrong with liking Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in spite of its flaws. You can still like the game and acknowledge its problems. There's nothing wrong there. That's not a crime. That's not a sin. The Lord's not going to cast you to hell for that. It's just cosplaying as an unpaid PR manager for your franchise and writing off legitimate criticism as just haters is super silly. But this isn't a problem that's exclusive to Pokemon by any means at all. Another great example is Warzone 2.0. Oh my god, I played that little pimple for 6 hours yesterday and it felt like dunking my head in a garbage disposal. It was just painful. I think I crashed in total 7 times, and even when I wasn't crashing, I would often get into a lobby with unplayable lag. But when the game did work, I enjoyed it. The problem was, it just seldomly worked because it's in such a bad state right now. And a lot of people write that off as, well, what did you expect? It just came out. And I think that is a problem. And it's the same thing that a lot of people are saying about Pokemon. I think that's just not okay. Why are we alright with that all of a sudden? Why are we okay with a game launching and not really being playable for the most part? Why is that good? Like, yes, I'm sure eventually the problems will be fixed. I agree. But why not just fix them and then release it? Like how things used to be a while ago. It's been a long time, I understand. But why? Why do we want them so early when they don't work well? Why not just hold them to some level of standards of releasing something that works, that's not fucking broken? I don't understand why we're totally fine with it now, where all of a sudden I'm on the outside and everyone's like, oh, look at this fucking goofball thinking that a game would work on launch week. As if, like, I'm stupid for expecting things to be functional. It is so fucking frustrating, and it just steams my ham. Now, to kind of shift back towards Pokemon and how it all relates there, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet launched and it has some of the worst performance out of any modern game I've ever experienced. It is absolutely embarrassing and downright laughable. Just truly pathetic. And I think this is a combination of a few things. One, the team behind it, Game Freak, being extremely untalented, some of the most untalented developers in the entire business. And two, them not having enough time to fully flesh out their game and their systems. And I think that's pretty obvious when you look at the last Pokemon game that came out, Legends of Arceus, being only 10 months old. Legends of Arceus came out January 28th of this year. They didn't even have a full year before releasing their newest game. Now, you might remember my moist meter for Legends of Arceus. I actually was quite positive on it, and I look back on it fondly. I enjoyed it. I think that was a step in the right direction, which has become the catchphrase for modern Pokemon games where they just step in the right direction but never actually hit their mark. And with Arceus, I thought, okay, they have a formula here, they have an idea, now give it some time, they'll flesh it out and make it better. Well, they gave them no time, ripped all the flesh off like a hungry cannibal, and released this half-baked, undercooked, downright raw slab of beef. My game can't run at anything above 15 FPS, oftentimes less than that, and every single time I'm in an area that has more than like 3 or 4 things on screen, some of them are moving at literally 2 frames per second, actual slideshow. And the game also can't render shit, so everything's always popping in and out. You don't even know what's real and what's not. You're constantly like in this rift between dimensions, like in between realms. It couldn't render your fucking hand in front of your face. So you'll be like riding around on the back of your motorcycle Pokemon, and it looks like it's just open world in front of you. Nothing but you and the breeze blowing your hair, wind in the sails. But then as you're going, all of a sudden you hit like a fucking speed bump of tiny little eggplant Pokemon that have just rendered into the world, and now you're locked into a little battle wasting time there. And, of course, the world is beyond empty. You don't see things until they see you, and you're like right in front of them. And if you make the mistake, God forbid, you make the mistake of jumping while on the back of your Pokemon, you're spending 15 seconds in the air. Because it goes through that jump animation, frame by frame, like you're watching a sports highlight on an impressive moment. You get to experience that jump, every agonizing second of that jump, as if it's a flip book being flipped in front of your face. It's pathetic. These are universal issues. They're not exclusive to just me or a few players. This is the performance across the board. And it's full of so many bugs and glitches, it's unreal. A really fun one that was discovered today is if you plug in another controller while playing and you go forward on both controllers, you get turbo speed, you get super speed. That's actually a pretty hype glitch though, but overall, just like a nut, this game is busted. And I really don't like that people are pretending it's not. I'm still seeing a lot of rave reviews for it in spite of these problems, and like I said, it's fine to like it, but if you're going to be an outlet, like, actually reviewing this, you need to fully take into account these problems. They are detrimental to the overall experience and weigh everything down. Now, one thing I've been very vocal about, especially in the last few years with Game Freak, is how lazy they are. I think Game Freak devs have had the easiest job for the last 20 years in the gaming industry. They just go in occasionally, click Control-C, Control-V, call it a day. I don't think they've been innovating much. Until Arceus, they've tried some new stuff, and I appreciate the effort there. But with this, it's 50 steps backwards. And I don't know if it's just because they rushed this out. It feels like they rushed it out because it's so clunky, janky, and unfinished. But it's still very lazy. One thing that I think, just off top of mind, to improve Pokemon would be voice acting. I have yet to hear a single good argument from anyone to say why voice acting wouldn't be welcomed in a new game. Why? Why not have voice acting? That's such an easy inclusion. That would immediately improve the experience overall. 100%. I think everyone would agree. There is no argument for why they haven't other than money and greed. Pokemon is the biggest, highest grossing media franchise ever. They could absolutely afford for their flagship titles like their video games to have voice acting at the very least. Like, that would have been such an easy thing to bring in here to get people hype. Something as simple as just voice acting. But they don't, because they know they don't need to. They can be as lazy as they want and people will still eat that shit up. Now, I do still enjoy the Pokemon combat formula. I don't know, it's just never gotten old for me. I do still get happy playing the games. But there's still room to improve there as well. Even outside of, like, gameplay and mechanics, you could add more animations. Half of these animations are fucking reused anyway. They often reuse models as well, so it's not like they're spending a ton of time painstakingly recreating these models or improving these models, but why not? Why not add more animations? You have enough money, you have a big team. Why not add more animations, make them flashier, make them look better, add more of them? Like, there's just so many easy things that they could do, quality of life improvements, to actually make Pokemon games feel and look better. Because these games look like absolute dog shit. Holy fuck, they look worse than a lot of the Steam new release indie title tech demos that are scams on Steam. Like, they actually look better than, those actually look better than, like, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The vast majority of the shit in this game is untextured. Like, there's just so much of it, and maybe it's just the textures aren't loading, I have no idea. But, like, half of the game is just untextured, and it all looks like shit anyway, even when there are textures that load in. This is just not a $60 experience. It's a joke to be asking that amount for this product. That $60 is better spent as kindling for your fireplace than spent on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, I'll say it for the third fucking time now, there's nothing wrong with still liking the game. I do still like the core bits and pieces of Scarlet and Violet, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the entire package is not in a state that was ready to ship. It's not even close. And I don't think that it's okay to be saying that it'll be fixed eventually, so it's fine. You're just overreacting. Oh my god, it's launch week, get over it. They'll get it better in a year from now, a month from now, whatever. That's just not a good excuse. The game should be in a good state when it comes out. It should be content complete when it ships, and working, functional. That's not just talking about Pokemon, that's talking about Warzone 2 and so many other modern games that I wouldn't even know where to start listing all of them. There's just this trend where people expect the games to not work, and they're fine with that because they believe, and usually rightfully so, that the game will eventually work. That's just still bad. The game should work at launch. Yeah, overall, I just wanted to whine about this a little bit. It's just a really sad state that a lot of these games are in right now. And I think that as gamers, you should stop being okay with being fed this shit. Like, stop swallowing that shit with a smile on your face and writing off legitimate criticism as just haters not getting it or not appreciating the art. There is nothing wrong with calling out these problems and saying that they shouldn't be there in the first place, and it should be better and could be better. I think all of that's very fair. That's really about it. See ya.